So in this lesson, we're going to talk about types of data or data types. It's important for you to understand data types. Data is a big part of what you do. So therefore, these are a basic building block of computation and programming. Doesn't matter what language that you're working in, data is a big part of what you're doing. There are different types of data. For example, there's hello world, true, false. There are integers like 85 and negative 142. There are floating point numbers. And then there's these special types of information. So let's talk about data type classifications. Every language has these types of classifications. They may also have other types, but these are the basic ones. There are primitives. There are composites. Those composites, for example, are like arrays. That's one good example. There are specials, such as enumeration. There are abstracts, such as objects. So right now you might be sitting there and going, okay, why? Why do I need to learn about the data types? Can't I just look that up? Can't I just assume that when I type in a string, it's a string? Why do I need to know what they specifically are? All right, well, here are the reasons why. You need to understand how the data is being computed. When you declare a variable, that's data. That's holding some memory. When you're pulling information from a form or what a user's doing off of a web page, that's data. When you're pulling information from the hard drive, that's data. When you're pulling files from a record in the database or sending them back, that's data. That's a big part of what you're doing in code, is you're manipulating information. You're moving that information around. You're setting state. You're keeping track of where you're at, right? You're building these blog posts, these web pages. You're grabbing a bunch of records, and then you're doing something with them. That's all data. So what happens, for example, when you compare a floating point to an integer number? What happens? It might not act the way that you expect, and that can lead to unexpected results. So therefore, knowing how each of these data types are represented and what's going to happen is going to be important to make sure your code works as you expect it to work. What's the result when adding a floating point to an integer? Might not be what you expect. What's typecasting? How about memory usage? That's a big one, right? We have to be aware of the memory that we're using. When we write small websites, we don't have to worry about that so much. However, when we're pulling enterprise level information, pulling big amounts of data out of the database and trying to crunch that up, memory usage becomes very important. So we have to know that computers represent and map numbers based upon their type. Okay. We should know that memory usage has a hit to performance. So therefore, performance can be an issue. Will it be an issue for a smaller website? No. But as you start building larger systems, it can be an issue. So therefore, being aware of it now sets you up so that you're selecting the right tool for the job. Data is an essential element in software. And certain languages require you to declare the data type. C, Java, and Pascal. And by the way, Java is not the same thing as JavaScript. These particular languages require that when you declare a variable, you have to tell it what type it is. So therefore, if you put down number of blog posts or number of comments or post title as a variable, you can't just say that. In those languages, you have to say that it's a string first for post title or an integer for number of comments. You have to declare that. Knowing this type of information allows you to be able to move from language to language and select the right language and the right tools for the job at hand. That's part of being a software professional. That ability to know software independent of a particular language. So in this lesson, you're going to learn about the different types of data. You're going to learn about how each language builds upon these types. And you're going to learn what the data type translates to for the computer. Go refill your coffee or your hot water with lemon and come on back here. It's time to get started learning about data types.